Before you spend that quarter, stop. Rare Washington quarters and unique state quarter designs have sold for thousands. Yours could be one of them. The 1986 United States Washington quarter dollar is a coin that, at first glance, seems like any other piece of loose change that passed through millions of hands during the mid-1980s, spent at vending machines, parking meters, and grocery stores without anyone giving it a second thought. But as every coin collector knows, even the most ordinary appearing coins can carry stories of history, artistry, errors, and hidden value. The 1986 Washington quarter, part of one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history, is a perfect example of how coins from a seemingly modern era can become fascinating collectibles when examined more closely. To understand the 1986 quarter, it helps to revisit the background of the Washington quarter series itself. First introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, the coin was never intended to become a permanent fixture of U.S. coinage. It was supposed to be a one-year commemorative issue, but the design by sculptor John Flanagan was so well received and practical for circulation that it quickly became the standard design. For decades, Americans grew familiar with Washington's left-facing portrait on the obverse and the heraldic eagle design on the reverse. By 1986, this design had already been in use for over half a century, making it an instantly recognizable piece of American life. The obverse of the 1986 Washington quarter features John Flanagan classic bust of George Washington. His profile faces left, a steady gaze forward, with the word liberty arching above his head. The motto "In God We Trust" is inscribed to the left of Washington's neck, and below the portrait is the date 1986. The mint mark, whether D for Denver or S for San Francisco, appears to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair, while Philadelphia struck coins of this year carried no mint mark. The reverse design displays the powerful image of a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing defense and preparedness. Beneath the arrows is an olive branch, representing peace. Surrounding the eagle are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. This imagery was deeply tied to the themes of American strength and unity, making the Washington quarter both symbolic and practical. The 1986 quarters were minted in massive numbers, reflecting the high demand for circulating coinage at the time. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 551 million coins, while the Denver Mint produced more than 504 million. In addition, the San Francisco Mint struck around 3 million proof coins, specially made for collectors with polished dies and planchets that created a brilliant mirror-like finish. With totals surpassing 1 billion coins, the 1986 quarter was far from rare in everyday circulation. Yet, as always, condition and errors made the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. For most 1986 quarters, heavy use and circulation wear are common. Coins that spent years moving through hands and machines lost their luster, developed scratches, and show flattening of Washington's hair details and the eagle's feathers. High-grade examples that survived in mint state condition, however, are far scarcer. Quarters graded MS-66 or higher can sell for well above face value, sometimes exceeding $200 depending on eye appeal and certification. At the top end, an MS-67 example from Denver or Philadelphia can push past $1,000 at auction. Since such well-preserved coins are extremely difficult to find given the enormous mintage and typical wear. Proof coins from San Francisco in perfect PR70 deep cameo condition have also drawn strong bids, often ranging from $100 to $300. What truly elevates the 1986 quarter in collector interest are the error coins and unusual varieties. Off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted away from the center of the coin, are highly collectible. Depending on how much of the design is missing, values can range from $50 to several $100s. Dramatic off-centers with the full date visible are especially prized. Broad strikes are another error found in some 1986 quarters. These occur when the collar die is not in place during striking, allowing the metal to expand beyond its normal rim. The result is a wider, flattened coin that often sells for $30 to $100, depending on condition. Clipped planchets, where the blank used for striking was improperly cut and left part of the coin's edge missing, are also known among 1986 issues. Single clips may be valued at $20 to $50, while multiple or dramatic crescent-shaped clips can bring much more. Die breaks and cuds, created when the minting die itself cracks or pieces of it break off, produce raised blobs of metal or missing parts of the design on the coin. Collectors enjoy these unique features, and prices range from $25 to well over $200 for dramatic examples. Perhaps the most valuable error type is when a coin is struck on the wrong planchet. A 1986 Washington quarter accidentally struck on a dime, cent, or even foreign coin blank would be a major rarity, often worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Such errors occur only when planchets of different denominations are mistakenly fed into the wrong press, and because of their rarity, they spark competitive bidding whenever they appear at auction. Auction results demonstrate just how much collectors are willing to pay for quality and rarity when it comes to 1986 quarters. A 1986 D quarter graded MS-67 by PCGS sold for several $100s, and in the finest grades, some pieces have crossed into four figures. Proof examples with flawless surfaces and deep cameo contrast regularly draw attention, especially when certified by top grading services. Error coins from this year have fetched anywhere from $100 for common off-centers to over $1,000 for dramatic wrong planchet strikes. The 1986 Washington quarter occupies an important moment in U.S. coinage. It represents the continuation of a design that had become iconic, bridging the past and the coming future. Just over a decade later, in 1999, the state quarter program would completely change the way Americans viewed quarters, transforming them from everyday coins into sought-after collectibles that told stories of each state's history. In many ways, the 1986 quarter is part of the last chapter of the classic eagle reverse design before the major changes arrived. For collectors today, the 1986 quarter offers multiple avenues of interest. For beginners, it can be an easy coin to find in circulation or in bulk lots of quarters. For advanced collectors, the challenge lies in finding coins in top condition or hunting down the dramatic errors and varieties that separate ordinary coins from extraordinary ones. Each discovery brings with it the thrill of finding value where most people see only 25 cents. So the next time you come across a 1986 Washington quarter, take a closer look. That little silver-colored coin might hold more than just its face value. It could be an uncirculated gem worth hundreds, a proof with dazzling mirrors, or an error coin that tells the story of a minting mishap. What looks like a simple piece of pocket change may actually be a slice of history and a key to understanding just how much value can be hidden in everyday money. That's the magic of numismatics. A coin like the 1986 Washington quarter isn't just change. It's tradition, it's art, it's error and rarity, and it's the reminder that hidden treasures are always waiting to be found if you're willing to look closely enough. The Texas quarter was the 28th coin released in the state quarters program, and it came out on June 1, 2004. Each state's design highlighted something unique about its heritage, history, or identity, and Texas had a tall order to fill. Known as the Lone Star State, Texas is synonymous with independence, rugged landscapes, cattle ranches, oil booms, and a proud history of statehood. The coin's reverse design reflects that heritage perfectly. Created by artist Norman E. Namath, it features the familiar outline of the state of Texas, with a large five-pointed star superimposed over it. A lariat or rope encircles the star and the state outline, symbolizing the cattle ranching traditions and frontier spirit that define Texas culture. The inscriptions read Texas, 1845, the year it joined the Union, and 2004, the year the coin was struck. On the obverse, the design still carried John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington, though by this point it had been modified slightly by William Cousins to sharpen details for modern minting. Washington faces left, with liberty above him and I in God we trust to his left. The date and mint mark appear below the bust, just above the word quarter dollar. Minting of the Texas quarter was massive as demand for state quarters was enormous. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 278 million, and Denver struck another 263 million. That means more than 500 million Texas quarters entered circulation. On top of that, the San Francisco Mint struck proof versions in both copper-nickel-clad and 90% silver compositions. With numbers like that, it's clear that most Texas quarters are common and still circulate today. If you've spent any time in the United States since 2004, chances are you've seen one or two yourself. But while most are worth only 25 cents, some rare examples stand out and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Condition is the first factor that transforms the Texas quarter. Circulated examples are abundant and worth face value. But collectors who specialize in state quarters hunt for examples in mint state condition, with sharp details, bright luster, and no scratches or marks. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify these coins, assigning grades on the 70-point Sheldon scale. For the Texas quarter, coins graded MS-67 are scarce, MS-68 are rare, and MS-69 are almost unheard of. In auctions, Texas quarters graded MS-68 have sold for $500 or more. A handful of top population pieces in MS-69 have fetched incredible sums, with records climbing into the thousands. It may seem hard to believe that a coin struck by the hundreds of millions could be worth so much, but when you narrow it down to the absolute best-preserved examples, rarity appears. Proof coins add another layer of interest. The San Francisco Mint's clad proofs are common, usually worth a few dollars, while the silver proofs are more valuable due to their metal content and smaller mintages. A silver Texas proof in PR70 Deep Cameo, perfectly preserved with strong contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields, can sell for $100 to $200 or more. These coins are stunning in hand and remain favorites among collectors assembling complete state quarter proof sets. But it's really the errors and varieties of the Texas quarter that bring the most excitement. The minting process for state quarters was under tremendous pressure, with billions of coins struck each year across all the states. With that volume, mistakes inevitably slipped through. One of the most dramatic errors found on Texas quarters is the off-center strike. In these, part of the design is missing, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side. Minor off-centers might fetch $25 to $50, but major ones showing 50% off-center with the date visible can reach $300 or more. Another exciting error is the double strike. A Texas quarter struck twice in different positions creates overlapping outlines of the star, the state, or even Washington's portrait. These dramatic pieces often sell for hundreds, sometimes more depending on severity. Broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the collar to contain it, produce a wider, flattened coin that still shows the full design but looks warped. These errors usually bring $50 to $150. One of the most spectacular errors across state quarters, including Texas, is the wrong planchet strike. Imagine a Texas quarter struck not on a quarter blank, but on a nickel or a dime planchet. The design appears incomplete, cut off around the edges because the smaller planchet cannot hold the full quarter design. These coins are incredibly rare and can sell for $1,000 or more. A few known examples of state quarters struck on dollar planchets are even more dramatic and can command prices in the several $1,000 range. Collectors also hunt for double dies, where the design elements appear doubled due to misalignment during die creation. While no major double die for the Texas quarter has reached legendary status, minor double dies do exist and bring premiums of $20 to $100 depending on visibility. Die cracks and cuds, where parts of the die break off, leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin, are another type of collectible variety. Some Texas quarters show cracks running through the star or across the state outline, and while these errors are subtle, specialists love them and pay solid premiums. Auction records tell the story of how much collectors value the very best Texas quarters. A Texas quarter graded MS-68 sold for nearly $2,000 at a major auction. Another in silver-proof PR70 Deep Cameo brought more than $500. Error coins push the boundaries even further. An off-center Texas quarter with a dramatic 40% misstrike sold for $800. A wrong planchet example realized nearly $2,500. And when coins combine rarity of condition with error, the prices leap dramatically, with some of the most unusual Texas quarter errors climbing into the $10,000 range. But beyond the technical details of grades and errors, the Texas quarter carries symbolic weight. For Texans, it was more than just a coin. It was a point of pride. The Lone Star symbol embodies independence, courage, and resilience, values that Texans hold dear. The state outline reminds everyone of its massive size and unique shape, instantly recognizable to Americans everywhere. The rope encircling the design connects back to cowboy culture, cattle drives, and the wide-open ranch lands that shaped the state's economy and identity. Holding this quarter is like holding a tiny piece of Texas history in your hand. And in the bigger picture, the Texas Quarter is part of the national story of the State Quarters program itself. The program introduced millions of people to coin collecting for the first time. Families sat down together to search through pocket change, kids begged their parents to save quarters for them, and coin boards flew off store shelves. Suddenly, something as ordinary as pocket change became a gateway into history, geography, and collecting. For many collectors active today, their very first hobby memories began with finding a Texas quarter or another state issue in their change. The Texas Quarter also reminds us of how quickly time passes. Struck in 2004, it is already over 20 years old. What once seemed like a brand new design is now part of history itself. Many examples have been lost, worn down, or damaged, but pristine pieces remain tucked away in collections, waiting for future generations to rediscover them. For the serious collector, the challenge is in finding that one-in-a-million coin, the flawless MS-69, the dramatic double strike, the wrong planchet rarity, that transforms a common state quarter into a treasure worth thousands. So the next time you get change and see a Texas quarter, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Hold it to the light. Look closely at the star, the rope, and the state outline. Check Washington's portrait for sharpness, luster, and any unusual doubling. Because hidden among the hundreds of millions are rare varieties, high-grade survivors, and dramatic mint errors that have already sold for staggering amounts at auction. And while most are worth just 25 cents, a lucky few have proven they can reach into the thousands, even into the extraordinary range of $10,000 or more. The Texas Quarter is a perfect example of what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's not about age alone. It's about stories, symbols, and the chance discoveries that turn everyday objects into treasures. Whether you're from Texas or simply a collector who loves the State Quarter series, this coin has something to offer. It's history, it's heritage, and it's the thrill of the hunt all wrapped into one small piece of metal. And that's the magic of the 2004 Texas State Quarter. It may be common in numbers, but in meaning, variety, and potential value, it stands tall, just like the state it represents.